had a grande chai tea latte that I wasn't expecting to have, and I'm feeling the sugar high. Anything could happen during the making of this video. Hello and welcome back to On With Lorna, that's me. This is episode 6 of my crafting podcast where I share with you my projects, and this time I've got some knitting and dressmaking to share with you and lots of different things to talk about. It is really muggy here today in the UK. It's not exactly the nicest of days, but I've got the window open. I'm hoping that doesn't cause too much interference with the sound, but it's way too hot to be sitting here in front of a camera with the window closed. We don't have aircon, it's too hot, so we'll see how that goes today. Let me know if it's causing any problems and I can change that in the next video. Let's have a look at what I've been working on. So the last time I recorded a video, it wasn't long after I'd made my very ambitious summer plans video, and I'll update you throughout this section on how those summer plans are going. So let's have a look. In week 1 I was going to do my second sock, I was going to do my DK weight swatch, cast on a jumper, make a myosotis dress and finish a sweater that I'd started and hadn't finished. So I have done all of those things, but I didn't get them all done when I thought I was going to. But I do have a finished item to share. In fact, I've got a couple of finished items to share. So first of all, we have these. These are the Daphne socks, designed by Twin Stitches Designs. And they've got this really nice lace pattern, and it only took me one whole sock to memorise this repeated pattern, but I did it. One of them, I never realised how much bigger one of my feet is compared to the other. As you can see, the second sock, the one that's closest to me, is so much longer than the other. I do have one foot bigger than the other. So for this, I basically followed the pattern as it was written. The only change that I made was that I swapped in a fish lips kiss heel here rather than doing a heel flap and gusset, because picking up stitches and doing the decreases for that is one of my most hated knitting jobs. So I have a finished pair of socks, which pleases me a lot. I was going to try and finish the second sock in the first week, and I think I'd done to about here. So I did all of this last week. I got a bit behind. I think actually I didn't get behind, I just got a bit carried away with what I was going to achieve in the week after I made my video. So that's finished item number 1. My next finished item, I just realised I'm on a white wall, I've got a white t-shirt on. I'm pasty, I look like a ghost. My next finished project is my myosotis dress. So this myosotis dress is one that I've been saying in the podcast that I was going to cut out and I was going to make for weeks and weeks until I actually did it. And I only managed to do it even by giving myself a ridiculous amount of time pressure. So I cut it out before I made my summer plans video, and then I put off sewing it up basically until 2 days before I went on holiday. No, actually that's not true. I did it the day before I went on holiday, and I didn't finish it until we were literally about to leave the house. The last thing we did before we left the house to the airport was put the poppers down the front. Nothing like a bit of last minute sewing. So I used this really lovely Lady McElroy cotton lawn. This is one of the offcuts. I did make some alterations to the pattern. Now, when I made it the first time, I'm fairly certain that I lengthened the bodice slightly and I definitely lowered the bust dart. Deer and Doe patterns are drafted for a C cup and the bodice is quite oversized anyway. So I just lowered it so the bust point would be at the right place for me and lengthened the bodice. And I'd cut out a straight skirt with no frill last time. And this time I put the frill on, but because I'm quite tall, I'm between 5'8" and 5'9", that I'd found the skirt was too short last time. So rather than using view A, which is a shorter skirt with a frill, I used the UB, which is longer, and then put the frill on as well, but then that made it too long. And as I say, I made it right before I needed to put it in the suitcase, basically. So I didn't have time to unpick and everything. And actually, from wearing it, I quite enjoyed having a different length skirt. It's perhaps slightly longer than I would have chosen to, but it was nice to have something different, and got a lot of compliments on it actually. So I can't see myself making another one in that length, but I am not going to alter that one, if you know what I mean. I'm going to leave it as it is, but just not make another one. Something else I did do was add some waist ties just to cinch it in, because it was a bit kind of tent like on me, and I prefer to have things a bit more kind of fitted in the waist. So I also finished that, which was really good, and I was able to take on holiday. The next item that I finished, I think I've finished this actually in the last video, that is my sweatshirt that I perhaps ought to go and get. Be right back. Okay, so here it is. This is a grain line linden sweater. It looks massive on camera. To be fair, it looks massive in real life, but it's made from this sweatshirt, and it's in this floral print, which I think I have shown on the vlog before. For this one, I used yellow ribbing for the neckband and the cuffs and the hem, and actually it made it so much easier to make. This is the third one of these sweatshirts that I've made, and I've always previously just used either contrast sweatshirting. This is like a loop back. So I've either used contrast sweatshirting fabric or the same fabric to make the cuffs and everything. And it, surprise, surprise, following the pattern recommendations, the fabric recommendations, meant it was easier to make. Because ribbon has got that bit more stretch, it was much easier to insert this neckband than any other neckband that I've made on a jersey top. So who knew that following the instructions would lead to a slightly easier outcome? Anyway, it's finished. I haven't actually worn this yet. I am a notoriously cold person, so I took it on holiday with me, but where we went they were having record temperatures in the northeast of the US, and I didn't need a jumper at all. I took 2 jumpers, and I think the only time that I wore one of them was in the hotel room because the aircon was vicious. So yes, this just kind of had a nice little tour around New England, and he's waiting for the weather to cool down here because it has been excessively warm. Not as warm as it was in New England here, but it's been excessively warm here this summer. So it's not really been sweatshirt and shorts weather so much. I haven't done any crochet since the last update. I'm at the same point on my Dahlia blanket. I just haven't felt like crocheting with a blanket essentially on my lap. It's been too warm for that really. So that's going to be something that I'm hoping to get a bit more of that done soon, but just in the last few weeks I just haven't been doing anything. I did say I was going to do my DK weight swatch. I think in the last video I'd done it and hadn't blocked it. I have now blocked it. I blocked it when I blocked the Daphne socks, but the gauge is too loose. I can tell just by the feel of the fabric and the look of the stitches. I use 3.5mm needles. I can just tell that it's too loose for socks, so I need to re-knit that gauge swatch on 3.25, which I think is US 3 needles. Yeah, I need to re-knit because the fabric wouldn't be hard wearing enough to be socks. So that's another little job for me to add on to my list. Okay, so what else have I been doing? So when I went on holiday, I decided my initial plan was to try and knit 2 socks at a time. So either on 2 separate sets of circular needles or on one big set. And then I decided actually it would be more interesting, because who has time, it would be more interesting to knit 2 different socks. So I think you saw, if you've watched my summer plans video, you'll have seen me making the yarn choices. So I have actually finished one of these. This is the Scattered Pearls sock by Summer Lee Designs that I've modified to include my Perfect Fit formulae, and I've got a Fish Lips Kiss heel in there in contrast. You can see it just intersperses some pearl stitches every so often to give this nice textured design. I've also got a contrast toe as well. So it's 30 rounds of ribbon there, 45 or so leg rounds, Fish Lips Kiss heel, and then the foot to fit my size. I'm only just going to have enough of the contrast colour left to do the heels and toes of my other foot, but there's plenty of the pale pink left. So this colour from Moonglow Yarns was the Loving Stitches exclusive sock yarn for the Perfect Fit sock course. So there's one sock complete, and I have done the cuff and the increase round here of the second sock. I want to try and get these finished by the end of August, so we'll see how I get on. That's those ones. They're in my Gilmore Girls bag, which felt apt given that that's the one I took with me and we were going to Connecticut. My other holiday sock project was just, but you know, it was a plain sock using this yarn in the colour Nymph from Knit Picks. It looks much more vivid on camera than it is in real life. It's much more pastel. And again, I just followed the formula that I did for my Fish Lips Kiss heel. I've done a bit of dodgy weaving in of the ends there. It's kind of made my cuff go down a bit. I need to play about with that later. But I've finished one of those. It was quite nice actually that if I was doing some knitting, if I was tired, it was nice that I could just knit this one because it's just plain straight old knitting. There was always bits that I could do where there was just plain knitting that didn't require loads of thought, and then the other one that required a bit more thinking. On the second sock of this one, I've done the plain leg rows, you can see here, and I need to start some heel increases. So that's where I've got to with that one. Again, I'd like to have that finished by the end of August. That's probably more realistic than the other one, but we'll see how I get on. The next active project, I talked about this in the last video, but hadn't brought it up to show. Now I'm going to try and show this without tangling it up. This is the Beauty School top by Poison Girl Knits, and I'm using Truly Hooked sock yarn in the colour Sugar Pill. This is standard sock. And I am alternating skeins. At the moment I'm knitting in the flat, so it's not been too bad, but I've almost finished the upper back. I think I might have alternated a bit tightly there, but you know, it's a learning curve. Woo! I'm a little bit worried the armhole isn't going to be very deep, but we'll see how I get on. It's a really nice colour actually. When it was skeined, when it arrived and it was all in the skein still, I wasn't quite sure about this. Some like pops of red in it and stuff. I wasn't sure about that, but now actually, now that I'm alternating, it looks quite nice. To help me alternate better, what I've done is I have split cake 1 into 2 50-gram cakes, and then cakes 2 and 3, skeins 2 and 3 are just big cakes. So I'm going to alternate 1 and 2, then I'm going to alternate 2 and 3, and then when 2 runs out we'll go to like ball 1B and 3. Hope that makes sense, but it seems to be working okay so far. We'll see. But that is my jumper, sweater, whatever you want to call it. I think that's everything that I'm working on. Yeah, that's everything. That is everything that I have actively been working on. I have got some projects cut out actually. Once I've filmed this later on, I am going to cut out my first pair of carry trousers. I'm actually wearing a pair of carry trousers now. So I've got these on today. My project's on the floor and the bin down there, because I've got 2 pairs of these. These are a smaller size, and when I put them on this morning they were quite tight through the leg and difficult to get on over my feet. Got the pockets, got the waistband. This t-shirt covers up quite a lot of them. The only thing is at the back the waistband does tend to dip, but part of that I think is because I haven't top stitched the elastic so it twists. So I'm wondering whether I need to lengthen the rise on these so that they've got a bit more room to come up at the back, but then they don't look too bad on camera. I think it's just the elastic's twisted. I have made these trousers before in 2 different sizes. I've made them in the size I'm wearing today and a size larger. I definitely need to use the waist and hip sizing in these ones that I've got on. The others are really comfortable, but I would like to have more of a kind of a slightly more fitted looking silhouette, especially because these new ones are going to be for work. It's kind of the ease in the leg that concerns me. I do have quite chunky thighs and calves, and I always have had, regardless of what size I've been and how much I've weighed. So I feel like I need to do some adjustments to the leg. I think I'm going to try sewing the leg with a centimetre rather than a centimetre and a half seam allowance, particularly from the knees down, because that's where I feel like I need a bit more room. I also need to ask my partner to take some pictures of my bum because I'm not sure if I need a bit more room there, and it's really hard to see whether the seams are straining, if you like, or if you need a bit more room when you are wearing them. That sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? Yeah, but I need to think about these before I just go and cut out another pair. But I have also cut out 2 pairs of ultimate pyjamas, which are also patterns by Sew Over It. I've cut out a full length pair for my partner that is from some Donkey Kong fabric, Donkey and Diddy Kong, which I'll talk about more in a minute. And I've cut myself a pair of knee length or slightly below knee length ones for me in a stripe cotton with fruit on that I bought from Hobby Lobby. But again, I'll talk more about those fabrics. So I'm going to try and sew those 2 up and sew up the carry trousers. So let's talk about the fabric challenge. The fabric challenge is basically kind of, it hasn't, I suppose it hasn't failed, but it kind of has. So I'd always told myself that when I went to the US, that if I had the opportunity to go to a Joann, then that would be fine, that I wouldn't be breaking the 30-metre rule because I don't get to go in Joann all the time. They have, I think it's hard for American viewers to understand just how amazing Joann is to me as a dressmaker, because we don't really have that kind of store here. The closest you can get to it is Hobbycraft, and Hobbycraft don't have the fabric selection, and they certainly don't have the exclusive fabrics like Joann do. For British people who've never been to Joann, it's like a craft supermarket. It's like Hobbycraft gone wild. I went in one in Rhode Island that was huge, and half of it was fabric. Like, I'd never seen so much fabric in my life, and it's all really organised and everything. So I've bought more fabric than I've used up in ages, to be honest, but they're all things I've got plans for. It's all on the table over there, but I've got plans for, I think, everything that I bought. There might be one piece of fabric actually that I don't have a definitive plan for, but the rest of it I know exactly what I want to make out of it, including the Donkey Kong fabric and the striped stuff from Hobby Lobby. So I bought a whole load of fabric I have posted a picture on my Instagram, so if you follow me on Instagram at Lorna is cottoning on, there is a picture of my fabrics all nicely arranged rather than in the big pile that I've got them in now. They have all been pre-washed, so they are ready for me to use whenever I feel like using them, and obviously 2 of them have been cut out already. So in terms of fabric, I think I suppose I have cut some more out. That was Donkey Kong was 2.5 yards and the lemons was 2 yards, so that's 4.5 yards. If I convert that into meters, I don't know what that is it about 3.5 meters, 4 meters maybe? So some has gone out, but an awful lot more has come in. I think in terms of the challenge going forward, that I am still trying to be much more conscious in what I buy, and not just buying things because I've seen it on Instagram or it's been an advert or in a newsletter or anything. And I am still trying to aim to use 30 meters this year. I think to try and do the challenge more than once in a year is a lot, given that I work pretty much full time. And for me, I just want to make sure that I am using my fabric. In an ideal world, I'd be using some time now to go through my fabric and think about if there is anything that I don't feel like sewing and why. But I feel like I want to try and make stuff first and then perhaps have a review. So with that in mind, I have bought a couple of other pieces in the UK. I did an order from Rainbow Fabric, had a discount code, and I got this. Now this is the reverse. Oh, you can see it just there peeking out. I washed this the other day. This pink and red spot viscose. I bought that before my holidays, and I'm thinking I'd like to make the new Jennifer Lauren handmade kinfolk dress using that fabric. I've got another candidate that's well in my stash potentially, but I do like the look of that, and it's got waist ties built in. We love a waist tie. So that was from Rainbow Fabric. I also bought the really nice floral print, which I think I've put away actually. Lots. Now I was a bit kind of annoyed about this, but I'm going to give credit where credit's due. So you might have seen on Instagram there was some fabric being heavily advertised. It was a black viscose with quite a big bold flower print. A lot of people saying it was like some designer who at Marimekko maybe, some designer that they'd seen, and they'd sent an absolute ton of this fabric, had gone out to influencers to encourage you to buy from the latest drop, as they call it. So being the mug that I am, I was completely influenced and ordered some of this fabric because I thought it could be a statement dress, it could be some trousers. I just felt that there were lots of different possibilities for this. So it took nearly a week for my fabric to be dispatched, and I can understand that they're a small business and that they'd probably had a lot of orders, given that there were discount codes flying around. But I then had a message to say that they'd unrolled this dead stock fabric and that it had was damaged all down the centre of it. There was marks. So I basically had the choice of just not having the fabric and having my money back, or I could take the fabric and try and get the stain out because they weren't sure, and see how I got on. And if the stain wouldn't come out, then I could still have my money back and keep the fabric. So my first reaction was I was a bit annoyed because all these influencers had the good stuff free and I'd paid for it, and was either not going to get it or going to get damaged stock. But then actually I thought about it and thought, at least they're honest. They gave me the opportunity, they let me choose what I wanted to do, and it was via text, there was no messing about. It was, the conversation was done within kind of 20 minutes or so. So I decided to take the fabric, and unfortunately I've washed it twice and the mark isn't coming out. It looks like it's ink on a roller, like when it's gone through a machine to be printed, and it just isn't coming out. I'm not sure how if I'll be able to cut round the manufacturing errors, if you like. So I got in touch with them again, and they have given me a full refund. And actually there was no, lots of people say support small business, and I do try, you know, I support an awful lot of small businesses, far more than I talk about on the channel. And I've had some really great experiences, but I've also had some really terrible ones in my time that have made me think, I'm trying to support a small business here and you are not making it easy for me. But I have to say, Rainbow Fabric of Kilburn, they have been amazing with this. That I've had the refund notice, that I sent them, they sent me pictures of it before I agreed to accept it. I've sent them pictures back of it after it's been washed. They've just been really good to communicate with, and although to begin with I was a bit like, they've been really good. They've been really honest, really upfront, just really transparent about it all. And I just think there are a lot of other people who could learn from Rainbow Fabric and my experience with them. This is not paid. I'm not just saying this because I've been paid to say it, because I definitely haven't, but I just thought that they deserved a shout out for that, because I thought it was good. The last thing that I bought was this. Now, I told myself this, which you can just see on the table, this was going to be it, but and this definitely will be it. This fabric is from Fabric Godmother, and basically it's viscose linen. It's one of their own prints. Oh, it's not a very good picture, is it? It's all folded up, you see. This fabric they released last summer, and I really loved it. But obviously Fabric Godmother's fabric isn't always the cheapest. So you can see here it's this beautiful print. It's beautiful quality, and it's not overpriced, but it is expensive. It's not the kind of thing that I just impulse buy. And I didn't buy this because I was trying to cut back on the amount of fabric that I bought, and then it went out of stock repeatedly and it never came back into stock, and it was discontinued. So when they brought it back, I was a bit like, do you know what, this is the one fabric that I have thought about. It's the one that got away. So I have treated myself to that one because it is just really lovely. Finally, I would like your advice. So while I was in Connecticut, I went to, see my mangled bag, Knit New Haven, and there were some very nice ladies in there who were giving us all the tips for where to get good beer and things in Hartford. And I bought this yarn. It's from Spun Right Round, who are based in Rochester, New York State. And I bought this. It's called Parakeet Feet. It is a sock yarn, but it is 100% merino. No, it's not. Oh, it is. It's 100% superwash merino, and I think it might be too delicate for socks, for everyday wear, and also it's a bit too nice. So has anybody got any ideas for some one skein wonders of sock yarn? Shawls, cows, hats maybe? I don't know. It just seems I ought to do something different with that. But yeah, if you've got any advice of things that I could knit, it's how many meters? It doesn't say, but it's 438 yards, so that's probably about just over 400 meters of sock yarn. What could I make? Let me know in the comments or send me a message on Instagram. What do you think? What's coming up? What's coming up? I want to finish those 2 socks by the end of August. I want to try and make a bit more headway with this. I keep wanting to call it a rocket tee, and it's not a rocket tee at all. It's the Beauty School top. I really love Andrea Mowry's Alpenglow sweater. What a beautiful pattern. But I feel like I've spent so much recently. I've already committed myself to lots of projects that I think for now I'm just going to have to kind of live vicariously through other people's posts on Instagram and Ravelry. But I'm going to Yarndale for the first time in September. So I'm going to tell myself, if I've got a few things cleared off, a few things knitted up, that if I've got the capacity at that point, then I might have a look for some Alpenglow yarn suitable to make an Alpenglow with. Somebody on Instagram has done this beautiful version with a neon self-striping yarn. It was gorgeous. So yeah, I'd love to do that, but I feel like the dream yarn destination for me would be Rhinebeck, but that isn't going to happen anytime soon because of my job. So I feel like Yarndale is the next best thing. I did think about going to the Knitting and Stitching show at Alexandra Palace in October, but I feel like I've got enough fabric for now. To be fair, I've probably got enough yarn. But yeah, now I just need to not find the motivation, because I do feel I've got the motivation, but I just need to keep plugging away at my projects and rotating and making sure that things don't languish, as they tend to do. So next time, in the next episode, my summer break will be over. So I'll be able to give you a full update on how I got on with my summer plans. And we can start looking forward to some autumn projects. I have got an autumn, I'm looking at my pile over there, I've got some autumn themed ideas already, but we'll see how they pan out. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.